Hello and welcome to the All Round Coaching Podcast, episode number 63. I have got co-host Mel back with me because it's better when Mel's here. And we had feedback where people actually enjoy us being together as well.
Yeah, which is always nice to hear because sometimes you think, are they just bored of us drivelling on together? But
no, I knew it. We've now got 2 hardcore fans.
We've gained one more.
So shout out to Jude and Chris.
I don't know if Chris still listens. I think he's probably dropped off by now.
Well, he better be listening. We'll find out if he is anyway after this because he's got a shout out.
Yeah,
that's
Chris,
30 seconds in.
If you are listening and this comes out, and we need you to drop that in the group to show us that you are.
If not, it's just Jude. Woo! Right, we will go on to this topic. And I think it can relate not just in business, not just in your fitness goals, but your overall life as well. And what is the title, Mel?
Oh, it's a working title at best. It's essentially how to set yourself up for success.
Yeah, and I would like to say, obviously, success looks different for everyone, but in my eyes, you only ever fail when you quit. So success, obviously, is going to look different for you, whether it's just waking up in the morning, which sounds a bit depressing, actually.
Yeah, just a little bit.
What does success look like for you? And obviously, you're almost a year into being self-employed, and you're almost... is it 2 years and a bit into coaching with me? So obviously health, fitness, your overall business, your life's changed in the past 2 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think like most people strive for success. I'm like a Labrador or a Golden Retriever. I enjoy the praise and I enjoy the little mini wins and the big wins as well. So I'm very much driven by goals. So yeah, as Claire mentioned, I am over 2 years into coaching. So actually it's an interesting one from that side of things in my mind anyway, because obviously we saw such a dramatic kind of change from that initial, was it 8 months?
Yeah, like from when you started, but that change only came when you say like the small steps, like them small steps led you to that point because it was being consistent. And I don't like saying ticking boxes, but ticking the basic boxes each day. Because a lot of people like the idea of success, they like the idea of getting to the end goal, but they neglect the consistency to build the habits to actually get there and work on themselves to get there. Because it is behaviours, it's habits, and it's consistency. It's not just, oh, let's think of this goal and we're going to immediately get there. We don't.
No, and I mean, I've learned over the years to celebrate the successes and celebrate the not so successful moments. Because if they're not successful, then they're a chance to learn.
Yeah, if you smash the shit out of everything, if you achieved everything first time, you'd never learn how to do it. You'd never be able to build anything else from it because you've always smashed it. So you learn more from failing, from fucking making the mistakes than you actually do of achieving them.
Yeah, I mean, from a coaching perspective, when I first started with you, like the mini wins were I've checked in without looking like a beam me up Scotty photograph. For anybody's reference, I used to, for whatever reason, look up to the ceiling whenever I'd take my check-in pictures, and
she'd look up and look so rigid, like she was getting beamed up by the fucking aliens.
Maybe I was hoping that they would just take me instead of doing my check-in photos. But yeah, I would, and obviously there was mini milestones along that kind of process, things like, you know, getting my head wrapped around like my nutrition, obviously figuring out the best way that works for me with my movement, enjoying certain movements within the gym as well, within my gym sessions, and probably going so long or X amount of weeks without having booze, things like that, where I would kind of create myself mini milestones, whether they were intentional or unintentional. Like I would be, oh, right, I didn't realize I'd done that. And I think I've always said to you, like, even just in business or just in general life, like you've got to celebrate the wins, haven't you? Because you don't know when the next one might be, not to sound so depresso, but like you've got to kind of celebrate them when they are here rather than going, right, tick, right, see you later, on to the next thing.
Yeah, celebrate your success and obviously appreciate how you got there as well, because that's going to build momentum for the end to go on to the next stage or the next task or the next goal. Like if you don't celebrate what you've done, you never really appreciate it or the work that you've put in.
Yeah, and all those little things do actually make up to that bigger goal and that bigger success story then, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and that's how you get there. Like, this is what people neglect. They think, oh, well, I've only done this, and then it's the all or nothing mentality. But if you do something, even just 1% better each day, it's going to be better than fuck all. And I think that's a trap a lot of people fall in, whether it's with business. So example, people starting self-employed, they think it's this huge risk, even though they could be made redundant. And they don't think, well, if I work really hard, I could be really successful. Some people fear the fucking success, I think.
No, I mean, I'll sit on the other side of the fence with that. Like this time last year, I'd handed my notice in at my previous job where, excuse me, for 12 years I'd worked under an employer. And there was obviously a lot of security that came with that. I knew exactly what I was getting every month. It helped certainly for me when I was paying for my own house that I knew what I was getting every month, basically. So when we started to have discussions around like, oh, well, you know, let's why don't you go and be your own boss? Like that fear does set in because all of a sudden that safety net feels like it's being pulled from underneath you. But I'm knowing what I know now, and on the other side, I do 100% agree with you. Is that it's like, well, the worst thing to do is not do anything at all and then wish that you'd done something in years time. Like I'd already had in my mind that, oh, maybe by the time I'm 34, 35, like, I'll be my own boss, which to be fair, I did it a year or so earlier than what I'd had. So I guess if you come into like them kind of goals, targets, you know, the things that you want to succeed in life, I always have like an idea in my mind of a time frame of when I want to achieve that kind of thing.
Yeah, time frame's good, but then not falling guilty of waiting for the perfect time, because how many people say they'll wait to start a business, they'll wait to start the fitness journey, they'll wait to do this, that, and the other, and it never fucking materializes because they've waited that long. Like there'll never be a perfect time for anything. Like the perfect time is yesterday, so you can actually action it and move towards a goal, because you move further away than just waiting. And probably going into December, I think a lot of people think it's my quietest time, and it's just like I have good retention anyway, but people think, oh, you're going to be quiet in December. I'm not. I'm just the same, because people still pursue the goals in that time because they're not waiting for January. They're not waiting to gain more weight and be in a worse place. And it's the same with businesses. Like I've seen it where people have tried to dip the toe in because they don't want to fully commit, or they've got that fear, or they don't know how to succeed. They don't know how to fail. They just end up giving up and it never succeeds. So if anyone's going to do anything and you want success, then work at it, persevere, and tick off the daily actions to actually get you there.
Yeah, maybe not give yourself so much overwhelm. Like have those kind of mini targets in your mind that are achievable, realistic to a degree, but obviously you want something that's a little bit more loftier, because otherwise it doesn't feel like a major goal then, does it? It just feels like something that's run of the mill.
Yeah, so set things like tasks each week that you want to complete, and it's more motivating when you get to tick them off, and that can be your small incremental goals that are going to lead you there. And I know for us, like, people probably fail because they don't have a plan. They don't have a plan and they don't have structure. If you haven't got that, then what are you aiming towards? It's pretty aimless. So if you set a little bit of structure, set a little bit of guidance for yourself, and this is what I talk through with a lot of clients, if you know what you're doing, you're going to know how to get there. And if you fuck up along the way, you're going to learn how to get there better next time.
Yeah, I mean, when I left my agency and started off on my own, like I knew that I didn't know exactly what I was going to achieve this year, but I knew that, okay, well, either there's a choice at some point in the next 12 months that I'm going to choose, well, I'm going to have my own clients or whether I'm going to work with agencies. I think one of my kind of like goals were that I want to at least hit my salary target like within 12 months. Like, so yeah, I naturally knew I had a bit of a roadmap in place. And then when I've got to certain milestones, I've got to certain points and projects have gone live, like it's celebrating those wins. And because sometimes it's hard, it is hard, especially when you have to be self-motivating. So
yeah, it's fucking hard being self-employed. And for the people, Laura, that think it's super easy being self-employed or there's no stress, like, try it. That's all I would say. But it's worth the stress because it's our passion and we are passionate about what we do. And I'd rather have the fear and drive behind me of, oh my God, all this could go tomorrow. But obviously the fear makes you work a little bit harder. Like I was never good working for people. Like there was a lot of resistance with me. I have my moments where I'm hyper vigilant or where I'm in my little box, but I keep grafting away and I find it better doing that than working on someone else's dream for a corporate company. I'd rather work on my own. And if I fail, it's on me.
Yeah, I mean, I was also on the other side of the fence where there's not to say that if you are working for someone, especially if you're working for an amazing company that are doing great things with great people, that is wrong also. Like I had a goal at one point where I wanted to be creative director, which is, for those that aren't in the industry, like that's like a high kind of position to hold. Like, you obviously lead the team, you lead the creative direction of the agency. And in my field anyway, there aren't that many of them. So I had a goal in mind before I'd obviously seriously contemplated like leaving and doing my own thing, that was a goal anyway. So
Yeah, and I think that's good. So for me, like, success is happiness. If you are happy, then continue in it. But I know a lot of people who maybe are employed that aren't happy. Like, do you want to live the rest of your life unhappy? I never did. I wasn't happy being employed, so I changed it. So I'll retract it a tiny bit, but not wholly. If you are unhappy, then do something about it and change it, because we are in control of a lot of things. Regardless of what it is, it just takes a little bit of planning and obviously a little bit of grit and determination. And it's not to say it'll be plain sailing. Like, it could take you 1 year to be successful in a career, or it could take you 10 years. Like, it's up to you how long it'll take with how long you'll work towards it.
do you think like people's mindsets, like, do you think that the way people certain people think, like, like self-limiting, in terms of, oh, I can't do that because because for example, if somebody is probably a little bit more overweight than what the body needs them to be, like, but the family and their environment are dictating, the family and the friends are all kind of in the same vein, like, oh, well, everybody else is like this. Do you think there's an element of that people self-limit, that I can't achieve that because I've got to then break out of that mold?
Yeah, self-limiting beliefs, and then accepting like your environment, or it's the same with age as well, like age, size, whichever. People accept it and they think it has to be that way. Like, I lived with my mum for quite a while, and obviously she wasn't the most healthful person. Like, she wasn't overweight because she's quite slender, having an overactive thyroid, which I didn't fucking inherit, unfortunately. But she would eat more takeouts than me. Her food quality was shocking. I didn't fall into that environment. I took control because I didn't want to be like that. I wanted to look after my health. So you still have choices. Unfortunately, kids don't, but they are a product of you. So if you have got kids and you're not looking after your health, then obviously the kids are quite impressionable. So yes, you're in control unless you're a small child and you've no say over what you're eating or what you're doing. Mm-hmm. If you surround yourself with people that constantly overeat or they drink alcohol a lot, you'll probably slip into that cycle. If you surround yourself with people that work hard, that are successful, that exercise, that are healthy, you'd probably slip more into that. So your environment will dictate a lot, but you will have choices whether you take yourself away from it or you control the environment to the best you can.
What would you kind of say to someone that obviously has a goal? Like, obviously we're talking specifically around business, or I think more relative, like obviously health and fitness. What would you say to someone that was obviously had people questioning them? Like, I know we've had conversations, and a few of your clients naturally get questioned, like, you don't need to lose weight, or why are you not drinking, or why are you doing this? Like, what would you say to someone that either was probably a little bit more reserved in the goals because the surroundings aren't allowing that to succeed?
You aren't doing it to please others. Like, you're not doing it for the validation of others. You're not doing it to please them. So these people that normally say that, would you then turn around and say to them people, well, I'm sorry, you're a bit overweight, or I'm sorry, you're a bit too thin, or like, you shouldn't be drinking? Like, it's normally from the people that I always think are quite envious, or they wish they could do it, but they just haven't figured out how. So more often than not, it isn't coming from a bad place, but sometimes people's opinions are like arseholes, like, fucking all got them. You just don't need to take them on board. I've had it throughout since I started training. Don't get too big, but obviously then I got a little bit underweight, or don't get too thin. And then obviously when I started taking weight training more seriously, or don't get too muscular. Like, you'll never please everyone, and you're not there to please them. Your goals are for you, and it's not for fucking Debbie down the road that thinks you should look a certain way or be a certain way.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because like, naturally when I started my journey with you, I had it from work, I had it from family. Like, oh, you're on your diet, or you're having diet food, or you're having rabbit food. Like, why are you not drinking? Why are you not having Friday drinks with us? Like, we've not seen you. Or you're out on a night out, why have you gone on to 0% alcohol? Like, questions like that, where because you are bucking the trend, that naturally people do question it, which is understandable, because it obviously is out of the ordinary, because our society obviously dictates that you go out at the weekend and you smash a load of fucking fast food. So you are kind of like part of that healthy crew if you do move away and try and improve your body. But I think for me, like with it, if I was going to give anybody advice, like, it's just, you've got to kind of have that goal in your mind like all the time when people are questioning you, because it's easy to kind of, it's easy to, especially for someone like me, to waver on that sometimes when people are questioning you all the time. Like, I came to you because I wanted to feel good, I wanted to look good, I wanted to get that body that I've always wanted. So I had to keep kind of picture that in my mind at all times when people were going, oh, why are you not having a pizza with us on a Friday? Like, why are you not doing this?
Yes, people's association with normal, and obviously everybody's normal and average now isn't healthy. Like, it's more abnormal. And I'll always say to clients, like, we aren't dieting, we're just eating healthful, which, if we look back to centuries ago, that was the normal thing to do. It's just that we're such a lazy, sedentary, quick, fast-paced society that everything's on tap. So more often than not, people don't cook their own food, they'll have takeaways. Drinking's more normal than not to drink. So it's because the normal now is unhealthy that it looks like we're the weirdos that are exercising. Obviously, we're eating well, and we don't diet. We just eat well and we moderate what we eat. Like, we don't overeat for the sake of it. And it's not to say we don't enjoy life. It just means we're enjoying life a little bit more because, one, we can move, and when we are older, we're going to have mobility. We're going to have independence. Like, we're not going to be debilitated or fucking disease ridden.
Yeah, I think I felt like I had to educate quite a few people when I was going through that journey, and I still am going through that, where the question, oh, are you still on that diet? Well, actually, no, this isn't a diet. This is just the way that I live now. Like, it's just in moderation, and I'm just not going to cane it. Like, we go out for meals, we still live. Like,
yeah, we still enjoy life. And I think people have a lot of ailments and they wonder why they've got ailments. They wonder why they feel shit. They wonder why they're tired, why they're getting ill all the time, why they've got certain things popping up in the health. And they'll never think, well, maybe I need to look after myself. Maybe I need to exercise. Maybe I need to eat a little bit better. They neglect that and they think, oh, I'll just take some medicine. Like, prevention's better than cure.
I mean, with people that, going back to the success kind of angle that we're leading with, like, what would you say to someone that obviously has started maybe on the health and fitness goal, like I did many, many times, and they feel like they're coming to a bit of a sticking point? Like, what kind of suggestions would you make for them, where they obviously they've got that goal in mind, but they're maybe not sure how to get there?
One thing I'll always pull up with people: how accurate are you? How adherent are you? What are you setting yourself, and what are you measuring it against? Like, are you actually tracking your progress? Are you monitoring, like, your intake of calories? Which I've done a post today, to be fair. Your calories are units of energy in. So if you're not expending that energy, you're getting lazier, then you're going to gain body fat. So write some data, get the data down, get your calories, see what you're eating, get moving, go for a walk, get to the gym and start and get a little bit of movement healthy. Like, you're not going to achieve anything if you don't monitor it and you don't measure it.
Yeah, I think the simplest way of monitoring it also is, I used to be I'll take some progress photos, but probably not as frequent as what I should do. Like, I think the minute that to be fair, the massive success factor with my health and fitness goals was obviously having someone that was going to hold me accountable every week.
That's me, by the way.
Yeah. But obviously, as well as that, like, things like your progress photos are very interesting. I used to look, I've got an album of my photos from when I started with you to where I am today. And you can see the difference, and that's such a motivation, like, when you can actually see, although not massive changes, but if you look from like 1 month to the next month to the next month, if you're taking those regular photographs, you can visibly see a difference if you are doing what you should be doing.
Yeah, and your physique's massively different. Like, and I would just like to point out, Mel didn't lose
no, which is
literally any scale weight.
in the traditional sense, it's incredibly annoying. However, I think that the comparison from when I started versus to where I am now is night and day.
Yeah, because obviously your physique transformed, and it's because A, you've got muscle underneath to show for it. That'll have been from training with structure and a little bit of training previously. Obviously, I can't take every single credit. You did something, and obviously actually having a proper training plan and structure helped develop your muscle further, and then have something to uncover when we did actually lower your body fat.
Yeah, I think the way that it works was, obviously I had some knowledge of the gym, which obviously isn't always necessary for your clients, but yeah. I'd like to say that I'm quite driven in what I had. So I knew that I had to check in every single week. And I didn't have a lot of kind of cash. So I knew that I was obviously investing in myself, which meant that I needed to take it a lot more seriously.
Yeah, if you pay attention, but people undervalue the check-in process so much. And that is how you succeed in any fitness journey. Check in, whether you've got a coach or not, check in with yourself, check in with your coach, make sure you're doing your pictures, your measures. documenting your progress? Are you accurate with food intake? Are you accurate with your movement? Are you being consistent? Like, it all adds up, and there are so many factors of why people probably fall off and fail because they overcomplicate it, or they think that it has to be extreme.
Yeah, it's the consistency is a massive consistency obviously then builds habits, which then builds like those milestones, don't they? Like,
Yeah,
if
and
you're doing
habits form over time.
exactly, and if you, I think I had to massively dramatically change my habits because I would get in my typical Friday when I lived on my own, like before Claire, was I would come in from work stressed after a whole week. I might get a glass of wine down me. I'd get a microwave meal. I'd sit in front of the telly and I'd smash a full bar of dairy milk, like, and that was consistent, like every single week, like that would happen because it's like, oh, it's Friday, it's the weekend, like, or I might have had something healthy, like quote unquote, and then smash a big bar of chocolate, like, but there was no need for that. I was just binge eating because nobody else was there to hold me accountable. No one was living here going, what the hell are you doing? You
Yeah.
fat fuck.
Oh, I don't say that, by the way. It's the association of seeing the weekend, which Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's like 42 point something percent of your week. So not only that, and then obviously using alcohol as a coping mechanism to relax, which does have the adverse effect, but obviously it numbs the brain, so that's where the relaxation comes in. Plus the little hit of dopamine, so obviously we all associate it with a positive effect.
I massively struggled when I first started with you kicking myself out of those habits, but it was only after, I think, the 3-month magic mark where if you are consistently adhering to that, and that's not to say that you don't slip ever so slightly, but if you are kind of staying along that line, that path that's set out for you, that you will see results because you're being consistent. Like, those incremental small changes build up to big, big, big things.
They do, and then I think people feel disheartened if they have one day that isn't, quote, perfect, or they have one day that's pretty bad. Like, it's your week overall, and obviously then week overalls add up into months, and then months add into years, and that's where you're going to see your success.
It's the same with business. Like, we've both seen it where you might not make sense, might not feel like you're getting anywhere at all, but then all of a sudden you'll have an amazing week, or you'll have a new client drop through, or a brand new inquiry, or someone else that you can help, and then that's where the success is. Like, but it's the actual success is made in the nitty gritty weeks where you might be having a shit week, where you might not have had emails, or you might not have spoken to anybody, or it might feel like somebody else is succeeding more than you. Like, I think the success is built in that grit, that determination, and that drive to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? It's easy to compare, whether you compare your business or your physiques. It's always easy to compare to someone else, but you don't know what that someone else has done to succeed. Like, you might be looking at someone's 10 years and you're in your first year. Same with business, same with your physique. Like, don't look at other people, just focus on yourself and your actions. And there's always going to be peaks and troughs, whatever you do. Like, it's never going to be linear. It's literally always up and down. Like, if I said my business was always on a trajectory all the way up, I'd be lying. Like, there is peaks and troughs of it. Sometimes it feels really easy and sometimes it feels really fucking hard. But if I gave up every time it feels hard, I wouldn't be 5.5 years, 6 years on nearly.
Yeah, I mean, flip the mindset from, like, and we're talking from a self-employed business perspective here, is that if we just fucking gave up and stopped doing what we were doing, we'd have no money and we'd lose our house. So if people saw the health and the goals like that, the fitness, like, if you're not, and I'm not saying that it has to be a graft all the time, but if you're not looking after yourself and all of a sudden you'll realize, like, 10, 15 years down the line, why am I in hospital? Why am I struggling with heart problems? Why can I not breathe? Like, why am I, finding it really difficult to get up a flight of stairs? Or why can't I push my grandchildren around? Like, that's when it falls off the track, doesn't it? And it's really hard with people's mindset around health and fitness because it doesn't happen instantly. Like, if we just fucked off and didn't work for a month, then we would have a massive ramification straight away. But with health and fitness, if people neglect it for so long, then it will start to come and bite them. And like, I'm in my 30s. I'm 34 in December, and as sad as it sounds to say this, but like, I'm starting to noticing, like, people that I went to school with are really, really starting to age now. Like,
yeah, it's mental. I've noticed that. People
that, like, obviously it's in my mind, obviously still look like a child when I went to primary school, high school with them, and it's just really bizarre when, I do think your lifestyle massively, massively impacts, like, not just your aesthetics, like, in terms of the way that you look, but obviously the way that you move and you carry yourself. Yeah.
And it honestly, it's like a reverse aging effect once you start to look after yourself. But I think people only pay attention when they're forced to. So you'll have people that oh, I'm fine, I don't need to do this, until they're reminded of the health, or they're stopped in the tracks because they got really fucking ill, or they have a disease, whichever. And then they're forced to then, that the health is their only focus then. But sometimes it's too little too late.
And I think that's why it's so integral for us too, because we're two people living under one household that both have our own businesses. Touch wood, if I became ill for whatever reason, like I can't work,
nope, and I'm off. If she can't look after me, I'm out.
So, you know, that's also like, our health and fitness does have a massive impact on our livelihood. Like, we've got big goals for, you know, the rest of our lives. Like, if we're not looking after ourselves, then we're never going to get there, because we can't physically fucking put ourselves where we want to be.
No, and I think if people stop seeing health and fitness just as a fat loss tool, like, it does help with focus, it helps with productivity, it helps with your confidence, it helps you move about, it helps you look after your kids. Like, there is more to fat loss. And I think a lot of people, I'll probably confidently say, probably 95% of the people that come to me start with fat loss. And obviously the ones that are with me 5 years on, we aren't doing fat loss anymore. We're focusing on the health, we're focusing on the habits, and obviously we've built a lot from that. And obviously that's why I'm probably still in business, because there is more to it. So don't just see, oh, I don't need to diet because I don't need to lose fat. Like, think of your health. So if you eat better, you're going to feel better. If you feel better, you've got more energy. That'll go into your work, it'll go into your family, it'll go into your social life.
Yeah, and you've you've got clients that are business owners also. So, you know, when they're training, that's their kind of hour to look after themselves. And there's a lot of statistics, and look at some of the most successful people on the planet, that they do favor the health and the fitness, because in actual fact, a lot of them don't drink alcohol, they don't do drugs, because they know how important it is to be present.
Yeah, it's to look after themselves. Like I've said it before, like, you're your number one asset. So if you're self-employed, you are your only asset that's driving that business. But it's 76% of successful people and millionaires that look after the health, and there's a reason for that. It's not because they want to look pretty, it's because they're fucked if they haven't got the health or themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think I did look into it briefly the other day, in terms of, obviously, people that either go for a walk or train, like, their concentration levels are so much better when they come back from doing those activities. If they're eating and fueling the body with better foods, obviously the cognitive function is miles better. They're more present. You know, they can show up for people when they need to, because they've looked after themselves. It's that pouring from an empty cup sentiment, is if you're looking after yourself, then you can look after everybody else.
Yeah, and you'll have more to give. Like, I know when, like, we'll have 3 short walks per day just for productivity. Now, I know a lot of people can't just nip out on a walk if you do work in an office, but get up 10 minutes earlier, set yourself up for the day, and start the day with you. And honestly, you'll be so much more successful doing that. And then when you have a break in work, you can have a short walk.
But use what you can control. Like, yeah. I worked in Manchester for 18 months, and I would get off the train and walk to the office. I would walk on my lunch, and I was also obviously walk back to the train station, but then come back and have a walk with you as well, like, because I knew how important it was and we use that to kind of de-stress.
Some of my best ideas come to me on a walk, and we'll have discussions on a walk. And obviously these podcasts aren't scripted. Like, we are making every single word up as we speak, because we're more motivated to do it. Like, our brains are nice and clear, because yes, we had a walk earlier. We've had 2 walks so far today.
Yeah.
We went shopping as well, so that helped.
Yeah, we'll probably go for
So we ate a really good meal and we had a walk. So this benefits you, the science in it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I've lost tangent now. My head's gone off.
Oh, fucking hell. This is a first. Mel's lost for words.
We've done.
But I will wrap it up. I want people to look away from the health just being a fat loss tool. And if you are building a business or you're building a physique, your success goes hand in hand with your health and how you actually show up as well.
Yeah, it's a massive success factor. And it's certainly I think the minute that I started to feel better about myself, the more confident I felt about myself, then I naturally felt that I could achieve more than what I thought I could previously.
I think a few clients have said that, like the confidence in changing career and actually going for things because they felt confident within themselves. They didn't just want to hide away or not speak up with anything. And I agree with that, because the Claire from maybe 5-6 years ago wouldn't have said fuck all. And obviously I've said it before, like my confidence has grown, and it's grown by doing stuff. Probably not being the best at it, but getting better because I'm doing it. And obviously that's them motivating, like they all interlink. And I think people expect just to be good at something when they don't work towards it or they don't do it. And it's the same with business, same with physique. if you don't practice it, you don't work at it, then you aren't going to succeed. So takeaways from this, make sure you look after your health, practice it, be consistent, and start to show up for yourself and obviously your family and your friends.
I think just one final thought to kind of wrap up the whole episode is for anybody that feels like it's going to be an uphill battle or it's going to be a massive, massive change, like anything that was ever worth having never came easy. And if it came easy, everybody would be fucking doing it. So yes, it'll feel difficult. Yes, it'll feel like a massive change in habits, but is it worth it? Yes, absolutely 100%.
Yeah, and if you've built it and you built your own business, your own physique, nobody can take it away from you. And you can always tell people that have worked hard, nothing's been given to me and I've had to graft. And you know what? It's more rewarding than having something handed on a plate.
Yeah.
So I will a mic drop there. If anyone is obviously stuck or they've got any questions or they want to know what me and Mel do, because obviously we both offer amazing services and we're pretty fucking good at what we do, drop us a message. And if you think this has been helpful, then obviously share it with your friends, like, subscribe and all that jazz. And they are available on YouTube channel now. Obviously all the podcasts are now linked together in one place. So Spotify and YouTube is now live with them all.
Yeah.
So we will see you next time.
Bye.